Have you ever wondered what the best deck building pack was? Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at every single deck build set released in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, including one that's technically... No, I think it just released. We're going to be taking a look at all of them. Now, one thing to make note of is that all of the deck building sets at the time were pretty good value, mostly due to the fact that you could build any specific deck from there pretty cheaply just by buying the packs, which doesn't happen every time, but that's pretty nice. Now, not every set is like that, but this is basically just going to be based on how relevant they were to the metagame at the time, and how, yeah, pretty much did it change anything, right? So all of these sets are actually pretty good, right? They're some of the higher end stuff, but they are also relatively new in terms of the life cycle of Yu-Gi-Oh! So do keep that in mind, right? So yeah, let's just hop right in. I have all of the decks, or all of the sets, fully pulled up, so we can take a look at all of the card lists, but we're just going to do quick glances. Starting off with Dark Savior here, which is the first one here, which is Fur Hire, Vampire, and Sky Striker. So, yeah, honestly, this set is pretty good. Give us things like Alert of Darkness, the Sky Striker cards, with like Engage and all of that jazz. And I believe at this point, this is when, well, to be fair, Sky Striker's incredible, right? In and of itself, that saves this pack. The other two decks within this pack are pretty lackluster. Even when they were released, with these new support, Fur Hire didn't do anything. Fur Hire, to be fair, was tier 0 in Duel Links, but that doesn't count. So, yeah, other than that, not really a whole lot was good in this set. But yeah, we did get, multi-roll, etc., etc. So, in terms of Dark Saviors, I'm going to put it solidly in A tier for now. That might go higher, but this is basically held together by Sky Striker and Sky Striker alone. Moving on to Grand Creator. Grand Creator had a few notable cards. They got the new Inzektor. Well, not new Inzektor. They got the Inzektor deck with new Zek Strike Ko-O, or yeah, Ko-O. I got it right. Zek Strike Ko-O. They also got the Punk archetype, the Rite of Aramseer, aka the Brave Engine, which is what it was called at the time, but the Adventure Engine, as well as Exo Sister. I think it is very difficult to argue that this is not an S tier pack. Exo Sister was meta at the time of release, pretty much, due to the fact that Tearlament and, well, most notably Tearlament, as well as Elf in particular, was running around. On top of that, Punk is an insanely good engine, and most notably, actually, no, sorry, Exo Sister, this was before Elf and all of that stuff. This was right before this. This was, sorry, I'm thinking of something else. But most notably, Exo Sister would eventually become meta. Punk was meta at the time due to Halqifibrax, and the Water Enchantress / the Rite of Aramseer engine, all were meta relevant. And in fact, this archetype in particular, this engine, was basically tier 0. So yeah, definitively S tier in my mind. Honestly, probably one of the best. Next up, we have Destiny Soldiers, Deso, from 2016, which gave us Dark Lord, which kind of did stuff. It gave us new hero cards, which kind of did stuff. It gave us the Bad Dragoon, and it gave us the Abyss Sector. So, to be fair to this set, at the very least, both Hero and Dark Lord at the time were rogue. Now, Dark Lord has fallen into a pit and is no longer even considered when talking about a rogue deck. And Hero has basically been rogue ever since and continues to receive consistent support. So, Hero's Hero and will do hero things. This, honestly, is pretty lackluster. Honestly, I'm going to put it in D tier for now. That may change, but for now, I think it's solidly D tier. Next up, we have Amazing Defenders, and Amazing Defenders give us Pearly, Makonko, and Rescue Ace. However, this was prior to the new support for Rescue Ace. This was prior to a lot of the cards that made it good, most notably Emergency, which is like one of the cards that actually did something in this deck. So there's that. Notably, also, this gave us some of the Infernoble cards, right? But I don't believe it gave us the new Infernoble cards. If I'm wrong, I might be wrong. Did we get the new Infernoble cards? Maybe. No, we did not get the new Infernoble cards, I believe, from this set. So in terms of meta relevance, in terms of quality, just across the board, in terms of the decks, I think this is a solid another A tier, right? Rescue Ace, even without the new support, Rescue Ace, very good, solid cards. And Pearly in particular was insanely meta relevant, even without the. Well, no, I guess both of these. Okay, this set was weird because at the time of release, we were missing Emergency, as well as several of the other. I think Preventer as well for Rescue Ace, and we were also missing Perlily for Pearly, and both of those were very key. Or both of those decks were missing very key components, that would have made them more meta relevant. And even top tier, even the best decks. So, Amazing Defenders, I feel like, still goes in A tier, because there were so many important cards from that entire set that it's hard to really rate it lower. But do keep in mind, this was at the time pretty bad. It was a pretty bad set. People were like, wow, this doesn't do anything. None of those decks do anything. Next up, we have Ancient Guardians. I believe that's next on the list. Yes, Ancient Guardians. Which gave us Ogdoadic, which didn't do anything. He gave us Sulfurcord, which didn't do anything. And he gave us Arctic, which didn't do anything. All of this was, this was, This was a set of all. We're just look, that is like solidly, unequivocally F tier. Like, holy, that was a bad set. That was a look. If you wanted to build Sulfurcord, props to you. But that, not great. Now we have the most recent one, which is not even on YGO Pro. So this is on YugiOhMeta.com. It is the most recent set. It basically just came out in the TCG like a few days ago, as of recording this. It was released in the OCG on August 24th. But this was the set. It's a fantastic set, and it released with Malice and Ryzeal, as well as, I think, another deck. I could be wrong, but those are the two important ones. Ryzeal is currently almost tier 0. It's dominant tier 1 status in the OCG because it plays around Max E, while also having the ability to play around like Shifter and some of these other high value hand traps. And Malice is extremely good in both the TCG and in the OCG as well, and is kind of the second best deck. This is very similar in nature to Pote, to the release of Pote, with two very dominant decks, that being Sprite and Tearlament, and these work very similarly to Sprite and Tearlament, or at least the way that they did in the TCG, where having a more kind of consistent deck that spams out rank 4s in this case instead of 2s, like with Sprite. Ryzeal spams out rank 4s, hence why Tornado Dragon and Redoer and Abyss Dweller and all of the like are in here. And then you have the Malice deck, which is basically the combo deck, which is very similar to how Tier was on release. So all things considered, I think this is a very, very solid inclusion as well. I don't know if it's necessarily S tier. It's very strong. It's very good. But we've yet to see really how well it does in the TCG. And since this is more so based on the TCG, I'm going to just put it in A tier for now, at the top of A tier. It's very good, not insane by any stretch of the imagination. At least in my mind, it's not like Grand Creator level, but it could be. But we've yet to see. Because, again, as of right now, Fire King Snake Eye is still one of the best decks as well, and so it's not entirely pushing the metagame out, so, unlike the Grand Creators. You know what? No, it's S tier. I'm lying. I just don't want to put it in S tier, but no, it's S tier. Anyway, we have Fusion Enforcers, released in 2017, which had Alistair the Invoker, the Predaps, as well as the Frightfurs, which are all fairly decent archetypes. However, one of these stands well above the others. The others are okay. They're rogue tier. They're fine. They've been meta relevant for times, but I feel like this solidly goes into B tier. Alistair the Invoker, well, actually, no. Alistair was so insanely busted when he came out. Yeah, no, it goes in A tier. Still, again, a lot of these sets are really good, to be honest. They're solid sets, right? And Alistair the Invoker was so synonymous with just, like, the game at the time that genuinely it was such a good set just to get Alistair the Invoker. So I would say probably worth it, probably A tier. Because again, even with that, the Fluffle engine or the Frightfur stuff, as well as the Predap stuff, is not bad, right? So I'm gonna say, genuinely speaking, solid set, A tier, maybe B tier, but I'm gonna put it in A tier. Next up, we have Genesis Impact, released in 2020. Hooray! Towards the end of 2020, but this gave us the Live Twin archetype as well as the Drytron archetype. Hooray! Do y'all remember early Master Duel? That's what this was. We also got a few other cards here and there, some of the Magistus stuff, which really was not great. But it is mostly the Drytron and Live Twin stuff in here. Again, a few other things, a few Magistus stuff. I guess technically that is the third archetype that's in here, is the Magistus deck, because there's a lot of Magistus cards, but they're so forgettable that honestly, yeah, this is pretty solidly a B tier, I would say, right? Drytron, to be fair, extremely good deck on release. Not gonna say like it's not. Live Twin was okay on release. It didn't really see much play until Sprite came out, which was later down the line. And, sorry, was this at the beginning of the year? I don't know if this is necessarily December 3rd. This is probably March 12th. Don't know. I'm American. And I just don't know if this is... Regardless. Sprite came out later, which is what ended up making the Live Twins very good. Drytron was meta-relevant when it came out and started to lose traction as time went on, but overall was still meta-relevant. And, that was kind of it. Magistus is still Magistus and never really did anything. I'm going to put it in B tier. I think I'm going to also move Fusion Enforcers down to B tier as well. I think those are solid sets, but not insane. Next up, we have Hidden Summoners, which gave us... Well, 2018 Hidden Summoners, which gave us Nephthys, early Prank Kids, prior to the release of the Link one, and Fire King. Fire King support. Fire King has been around for a while, but this is new Fire King support. Oh, and Mayakashi, apparently. The more you know. Now, with this being said, Prank Kid did eventually become Tier 1, but that was pretty far down the line. It wasn't until the Adventure Engine that it became relevant. And Shiranui, Nephthys, whatever else was in here, which I don't even know what else was in here. Mayakashi, shenanigans. Yeah, not much was relevant. So I'm going to put this in C tier. I guess Prank Kids were like Tier 1. Nah. This was not a great set, all things considered. Next up, we have High Speed Riders, which was released in 2015, and it gave us the Psyframes. Important. It gave us Psyframes, it gave us Speedroids, and it gave us, I believe that's pretty much it, and a bunch of, like, cool synchros. Now, the thing is, the Psyframes themselves are insanely high value. Well, mostly because of one individual card, that being Gamma. But also Omega was insanely, like, it's still limited in both TCG, OCG, well, in TCG, OCG, and in Master Duel. It also, no, Itelli had been around for a while, I'm just lying to you. The Speedroid cards, Terratop included, was crazy, which is the fact that this card is not banned to this day. Just wild. So it gave us some relevant cards, but the archetypes themselves were pretty bad, and it wasn't like a bad deck build set. It's just that some of the cards ended up being really important. So this one's kind of weird. I'm gonna put it in B tier as well, because yes, Terror Top was insanely meta relevant. Gamma is still meta relevant to this day. But with that being said, I think the archetypes themselves don't really carry it nearly as much. Good set, though. Next up, we have Shadows in Valhalla, which was 2018, which gave us Mermail. Actually, I don't know what this gave us. This gave us a bunch of random nonsense. There was, like, Valkyrie stuff and, like, some like, early ninja stuff, like, some bad ninja stuff. Some Mermail stuff that wasn't any, like, good. It was, like, okay. This gave us more Invoker stuff, but, like, as just another way to get Invoker. And that was kind of it. Like, there was not much from this set, as we can see. So this is like, I'm not gonna say it's F tier. I'm gonna put it in C tier. No, it's F tier. No, this one's bad. This one's bad. This was just bad. This was a terrible set. Because this was prior to the new ninja support that came out with the structure deck. At least the structure deck in Master Duel. It wasn't a structure deck in the TCG. This is, I think we already had Mechaba at this point with Invoked, so like that didn't do anything. Maybe, I could be wrong. Maybe this is the first instance of I don't think so. No, we definitely had, yeah. We're moving on. Next up, we have the Infinity Chasers, which is the which is Witchcrafter, the Infinitrack, aka Earth Machine, and the Evil Eye. What is this? Pack. Now, the thing is, Earth Machine is okay. It has been rogue. Evil Eye and Witchcrafter have both been, like, maybe you would consider them rogue. But even at the release, Witchcrafter was not good. Infinitrack was okay. It was, like, fairly decent. Evil Eye didn't do anything until it got its most recent support. So, with all of that being said, I think this is solidly a F tier as well. This one was bad. Next up, we have Mystic Fighters, which gave us Dragon Maid, which gave us Generator, and which gave us Mathmech. Holy shit, it gave us Mathmech! However, Mathmech without Circular. But obviously, Mathmech is still Mathmech, and you do have to consider the later support, at least in regards to, well, the thing with this is that Mathmech was around for so long before it got Circular. Circular came out in POT, which was like 2022, 2023, I think? 2022, I believe, right? Which, while that wasn't too far away, it was quite a substantial difference in time, right? Almost 3 full years. Well, around 3 years, right? So, all things considered, I think, even though it does give us the Mathmech cards, it does give us Generator, and it does give us Dragon Maid, both of which have been meta-relevant in the past, right? Dragon Maid Chamber, in particular, was meta-relevant. So I'm going to put this in B tier. I think it's solid. I think it had some good archetypes, and was generally pretty good. Next up, we have Secret Slayer. It's fucking S tier. It's S tier. It's S tier. And here's why. Eldritch and Adamancipator. Oh, and it gave us Rika cards, but those don't matter. Adamancipator, Eldritch, both of these archetypes were insane. First of all secret rares. All of these cards, like every single one of these cards is crazy. Except for, like, I don't know, these two. But, like, almost all of the rest of these have seen play in meta-relevant decks. Okay, I said meta-relevant, but plants aren't meta-relevant unless it's Europe. So that doesn't count. But Eldritch absolutely dominated in the COVID era. Same with Adamancipator. Adamancipator's an insane archetype in and of itself. Kind of held together with Block Dragon, but they had Block Dragon. They had access to it. It wasn't banned yet, and it's what got Block Dragon banned. So, all things considered, yeah, S tier. Maybe not the best one. I think Grand Creators is a little bit higher, but yeah, very clearly S tier. Next up, we have Spirit Warriors, released in 2017, which gave us the new 6 Samurai monsters, which was good. Keyzon, I believe Keyzon is new. I could be wrong. I'm actually probably wrong. It gave us Magical Musketeer, the new Zodiac, Smile, and it gave us the Weather Painters. Now, the thing is, this was not what gave 6 Samurai the like tier 0 status, if I'm not mistaken, or the near tier 0 status, right? Am I wrong? Was it 2017? No, it wasn't 2017. Because this was like the quote-unquote new Zodiac. Which was, it wasn't. This was the Magical Musketeer set. And I'm not going to lie, this did not live up to the hype. This set, Weather Painter never really did anything. Magical Musketeer, in theory, did stuff. In practice, didn't. And 6 Samurai, sure, the new support was nice, but it wasn't enough to push it over the edge and put it back into contention as a top deck. So, all in all, not great. Next up, we have Tactical Masters, which was the 2022, which gave us Lab. Hooray! Early Lab. Hooray! As well as the, what is this? Valence. I forgot the name of it, sorry. Is that it? It was just those two? It was just those two. You give us Valence, and it, did it give us Runic? You give us Runic. Holy sh... How did I not see Runic earlier? Sorry, my bad. My bad. Runic, Lab, Valence, crazy. Yeah, another S tier set. Not above. It's probably above Crossover Breakers, I would say. Because yeah, pretty much. Runic is one of the most insane archetypes of all time. And Lab is one of the few archetypes that is still meta-relevant as a trap-centric strategy to this day. So, all things considered, genuinely do believe those two archetypes work. They're okay. They're insane. Also, Valence is not, like, terrible. Yeah. It's similar in nature to the Crossover Breakers, in my mind. Two really meta-relevant decks, and then two not so many. Next up, we have Secret Forces, which gave us Gishki, Ritual Beast, and Nekroz. Yeah, so here's the thing. Nekroz was tier 0. Oh, also Yosenju's here. Nekroz was tier 0. One of the decks that competed with it was Ritual Beast. And the other deck that was in here, that being the Yosenju, was also kind of relevant as well as a gimmicky OTK deck. So, just by the sheer power of Nekroz, yeah. I think people tend to forget how good Nekroz was because it fell off so hard. But yeah, Nekroz was genuinely such an insane deck. Next up, we have Valiant Smashers from 2023. This was fairly recently. You probably remember this one. This one gave us the Memento cards, which are currently not relevant. They are in the OCG, though. So there's that, which I believe we still don't have those cards for. They give us Centurion, which is kind of meta-relevant right now. It's kind of a rogue deck right now, so it's pretty good, but that's kind of like its best result. And then the Valmonica cards, which are rogue at best. So at the moment, it's not insane. I think it could potentially have more staying power, depending on how good Centurion ends up being, as well as the new Memento stuff. So all in all, I'm going to put this like solidly in B tier. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Yeah. Next up, we have Wing Raiders, which is 2016, which gave us a few notable cards, that being the Raid Raptors, which were pretty good, the Phantom Knights, which were also pretty good, and the... Did it give us Super Quant? Yeah, and Super Quant was also released in the set, which kind of had a few stints of playability. Most notably, Red Layer, which I saw earlier. Red Layer was one of the most notable of those. So yeah, all in all, this is a solid A-tier set. Yeah, not much else to say. Next up, we have Wild Survivors, which is genuinely one of my favorite sets of all time. This is such a cool set, holistically. It's one of my favorites. It's great. Love it. However, it's not very good. Okay, here's what it gave us. It gave us the Ritual Archetype Novels. Not great. It gave us, I believe it gave us Animadar and Archosaur, which was like the only relevant card for dinos, but then it gave us a whole bunch of dino cards. And, of course, in the highest rarity slots, it gave us a whole ton of Vanquish Soul. Let's go! Vanquish Soul is super cool. Such a fun set. And very, very powerful. As you can see here, very high rarity deck overall. I think like everything's like ultra or super or above. It's crazy. But that being said, very solid set in terms of meta relevance. Because, yeah, Vanquish Soul was relevant for quite some time as like it was kind of like a tier 2 deck. So, there's that. You know what? I'm overhyping this. You're right. I'm overhyping it. It's B tier. But it also was, like, Vanquish Soul was genuinely a good deck. Novels was decently rogue. And Dino got some really solid support from this that kept it meta relevant. Or kept it? Made it? You get the point. So, all in all, that's the tier list. Hopefully this makes sense. But, there you go. If you've ever wondered what the best deck build sets are, there you go. Also, shout out to Stickdrift 05. They made this tier list, so shout them out. But yeah, there you go. Those are the deck build sets. And honestly, I think most of these sets are pretty high value. There were some that were definite stinkers, but most of them I feel like have had long lasting or just like were pretty bang for your buck, right? Anything up here was just such high value. So yeah, there you go. That's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did enjoy it, and if you did, I like it very much, so appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.